Hello, my beautiful friends. Gabe Elguera here from drumbeatsonline.com, and it's 2020. So you know what that means. It's been almost 10 years since I've graduated high school, and I'm getting really old. Oh boy. No, what it actually means is that it's your year of drumming, and I want to kick it off right by talking about 5 drumming habits that you can change to become a better drummer this year. So let's jump into it. So the first drumming habit that I think you should change this year is not writing your goals out. It is super important to write out a list of your drumming goals that you hope to complete this year. And for that, let's head up to the goals board upstairs to talk a little bit more about this, because I totally understand that some people might think it's a little corny to write out a list of your drumming goals, but it's really important to be able to have a direction that you're heading in. And there's a lot of different ways that you can break it up. For example, right here, we have got drumming goals 2020. So you can break this up into what type of things you want to develop with your skill, what type of things you want to develop in your drumming lifestyle, and maybe what type of drumming gear you want to get this year. Maybe not as important, but still pretty important. So as you can see right here, under drumming skill, I have examples of getting a better hand and feet relationship with my drumming overall, maybe build my odd timing and develop my speed a little bit better. This right here will help me big time in my practice in 2020 because I'll know what I need to work on. Then if we go to next, we've got the lifestyle. So maybe performing better in front of others, learn how to play your entire favorite album from front to back. Maybe this is the year that you start filming drum videos. And I don't know, maybe win a Grammy or something, I don't know. And then for gear, it never hurts to get a little bit excited about what could potentially come this year. Like maybe a new Meinl Byzance Foundry Reserve, or maybe an entire new drum kit. Who knows? Who knows? But like I said, I think it's really important to give yourself a sense of direction with your drumming, and writing out your goals can really help you accomplish that. The second habit you need to change is not having a practice routine. This is absolutely vital to you getting better on the drums this year, because you might play all the time, but if you don't have a specific routine in place, you might not actually be getting better, which is a huge bummer. So I'm gonna give you a practice routine to work on this year, and it is called the DBO Practice Framework, and it is split up into 4 parts. Part 1 is planning out your practice times, and I mean literally scheduling out what days and what times you are going to be practicing each week. And overall, the absolute minimum I want you to follow is practicing 3 days a week for a minimum of 10 minutes per practice session. Now, some of you might be thinking, only 10 minutes, 3 days a week, that's nothing. Well, the reason behind this is for years, I always wanted to practice hours and hours every day. But as the day came to a close and I didn't have hours to dedicate to practice, I wouldn't end up playing at all. But if I had a minimum time of 10 minutes, well, I could always squeeze in 10 minutes into a day somehow. So maybe that day I just practice for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is much better than nothing. But sometimes that 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes, or turns into an hour, or turns into 3 hours. But I think having that minimum helps you get behind the kit and get a little bit better each week. Step 2 is focus. So this is 70% of your practice time, and this is where you are just focusing in on a couple different exercises or beats or fills. This is where you are really drilling in those things that you feel weak on to be able to improve. Step number 3 is explore, and this is 30% of your practice time, and this is where you are developing your creativity. So this is where you would maybe create your own beat or your own fill, or maybe you are playing along to music and trying to improv over that, or maybe you're experimenting with your drum sounds, trying different configurations. This is where you are developing your creativity, where the step before this, you are focusing on your skill. And then step 4 is reflect and track, and this is where you are going to write down what you practiced that day, your starting tempo and your ending tempo, and then overall how you felt. Did your paradiddle feel good today, or did your left hand feel like it was lagging a little bit? This is all information that will be absolutely vital for you to have in your next practice session, because that way you can try to surpass your goal tempos and focus on those weaknesses and get better each practice session. Next up, I think it's really important that a lot of us work on our technique overall. There are so many drummers that I see that are playing really well, but their technique is holding them back. And primarily what I'm referring to here is tension. And this is something that I can relate to. Sometimes when I'm playing live, I just have too much tension. So I have made a hyper focus to relieve tension from my hands and my limbs. So for example, one good way to tell if you are playing with too much tension or not is when you are holding the drumstick, is the space between your thumb and your index finger closed off? If so, your technique might be a little bit off and you might have a little bit too much tension in your playing. What I would love to see you improve instead is having a nice open gap between your thumb and your index finger by balancing the stick on your first knuckle of your fingers rather than that second knuckle where it closes everything off and you lose that range of motion that is so important in your drumming. Making this slight shift in your technique on the drum set is going to be huge for your overall sound on the kit, your comfort, your speed, and overall the health of your limbs. Oh, it didn't work that time. The fourth habit that you have to break in 2020 is playing the same thing on the drum kit over and over and over. I know that most of the time you step behind the kit, you are going to go to the same thing that you always go to. And sometimes this can just totally hinder our creativity where we are just doing the same exact thing every time we're on the drum set. Now, thankfully, I think if you have a really solid practice routine in place and you're practicing new things every week, well, this can obviously improve your overall skill and build your library of beats and fills, which can bring a lot of new inspiration behind the drum kit. But other ways you can foster creativity a little bit are to change up your kit. So you can either add new things or take things off of your kit. Just sitting behind a different setup can inspire new ideas and help you be a little bit more creative. Another thing you can do is try to change the sound of your overall drums, either through tuning or by throwing different percussion accessories on your kit, because new sounds can always breed new inspiration and creativity as well. And the fifth habit that I would love to see you change this year is stop ignoring your weaknesses on the drum kit. I think so many of us realize that we have weaknesses, and that's perfectly okay. That's totally normal. But we normally just try to hide these rather than dive into the weakness and really work on it. For example, let's say your weak hand is your weakness. Well, obviously. So for me, my left hand, let's say that that's my weakness. Well, it kind of is. I have two options. I could either keep doing the same thing and keep slightly improving it while also improving my right hand, or I could get drastic and I could try to flip around my drum kit to a lefty style kit where I am absolutely forced to get better and to improve my left hand. While this has the potential to be incredibly discouraging, sometimes that's the drastic measures that we have to go through in order to really build up our weaknesses to help them become strengths. So those are the 5 habits that I think you should incorporate into your drumming this year. Write your goals out, create a practice routine, fix your technique, stop playing the same things over and over, and improve your weaknesses. I think this is gonna be an incredible drumming year for all of us. And if you wanna take that first step in writing your goals out, feel free to write them out in the comment section below. I would love to see what you guys want to work on this year, and hopefully I can help you out with it. Otherwise, stay true, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.